Speaker. I rise with qualified support of this bill. This reform is long overdue. It seeks to address environmental protection, deliver a uniform approach across the nation and provide certainty for business and developers. This bill marks the second attempt in the last few years to address the independent review of the EPBC Act handed down by Professor Graham Samuel 5 years ago. And I was in this Parliament 5 years ago, and I remember the debacle that was with the original proposal by the then government, now opposition. Professor Samuel called for legislation that was balanced, offering real gains for both the environment and for business. And this bill is broadly consistent with the Samuel Review. His view is that this bill delivers for both business and for nature. Key features of the reform include a National Environmental Protection Agency to be an independent regulator that enforces compliance, required audits and issues environmental protection orders. Regional planning that maps areas for development and protection, so-called GO and no-go zones, are seeking to streamline approvals for compliant projects and refusals for those that are not compliant. Making it simpler for a developer to see where the making it simpler for a developer to see from the very beginning, from the get-go, whether a proposal is consistent or not with regional plans. And I think that this is really important for certainty. I actually also think it's important for environmental groups in a particular area. It will give them, I think, comfort and confidence, while also ensuring that those who are wanting to do a development do not waste time and money on a proposal that has very little chance of approval. National environmental standards, which are measurable and legally binding for matters of national environmental significance, regional planning, restoration actions and contributions, community engagement, consultation and First Nations engagement. A streamlined environmental impact assessment under which actions with unacceptable impacts on protected matters will not be approved. But, and this is something that I am concerned about, the Minister of the day has the power to override the rules if a project is indeed deemed to be in the national interest. Now, I have no issue with the Minister having that discretion. That's kind of really essential part of our Westminster system, that the Minister has that responsibility, but also that capacity. What I am concerned about is the term national interest. And my great concern is that there is some ambiguity about what is in the national interest. It's not defined, it's subjective, and it may change with the government of the day. Now, in briefings I've heard the Minister say, well, there's been significant common law interpretation of the term national interest across, a variety of different areas. But I just think what we're doing is we're then opening up for applications under the EPBC Act to then go through that process of going through the courts, which again include delays and include enormous costs. So wouldn't it be wiser to have it more defined on what is in the national interest? I did hear Minister Bowen talk on the radio a few mornings ago that he was sort of in connection with this EPBC Act, and he talked about housing and he talked about renewable energy projects. Is that Minister assuming that those two issues are deemed in the national interest with respect to this Act? I don't know. Again, it's that ambiguity, and I really do think that we need to have a far more tightened, defined terminology on what is in the national interest. Could a future minister decide that the wide-scale clearing out of an area of high environmental importance that it's in the national interest to build, I don't know, hundreds of wind turbines or a nuclear power station, or goodness knows what else in the national interest. So, and we will see changes in how this Act is managed by ministers as decades go on. So I just think that that is one area that the government absolutely needs to improve this bill in the Senate. The minister's discretion is broad, and the power is so significant that, as I said, a definition or other guidance, I believe, is required. And it also goes to transparency, and the minister would have to provide a statement of reasons. Look, this is an important bill. I think it is essential that we are going to have national standards. That was missing in the bill that was in this place and debated a few years ago. If we all remember, it was the plan was to just let every state have their own free-for-all with respect to environmental standards. So I'm well pleased that we have those national environmental standards going forward. And this is an important bill. I am also concerned that we are rushing this bill. We're rushing this bill through this place. It's now 9:30 at night. And the bill was only introduced last week. This bill will then be going up to the Senate. I understand that there has been a number of inquiries on issues that surround this, that we've had the Samuels report for a long time. However, when we're undertaking to change laws in this place, I'm always very cautious when we're rushing things through. I think it's better to do it once and do it right. But having said that, and in conclusion, I do support this bill. It is a qualified support. It is an improvement on what currently exists. And if nothing else, I think in this place we must all ensure that we don't let the desire for perfection to be the enemy of the good. Thank you.